guys, what's going on? Today I want to talk about minimum wage getting raised and why it may not be as sweet as it sounds. So, I'm sure most of you guys have heard that minimum wage is looking to get raised from $7.50, or depending on your state, roughly $7 to $9. And I want to talk about that because when I first heard this change, I didn't think much about it. I mean, it sounds like what's wrong? You know, hey, making more money. When I remember when minimum wage got raised when I was working minimum wage. I got raised from $6.50 to $7.15, and I was happy as fuck, right? Making more money. What's so bad about that? So I want to talk about that a little bit. Now, the reason it's not quite as sweet as it sounds is because the price of everything else is going to go up in response to minimum wage getting raised. So here's an honest way that the prices might go up. Let's say a company is paying a guy $7.15 an hour to work at doing whatever. And they're making $8 an hour off that employee. So they're making, 85 cents per hour off this guy. And hey, the business is making money, the employee's making money, everyone's happy. But now they gotta pay him $9 an hour. And let's say they can't make the employee worth more. They can't get their value out of the employee. But they still need the employee. So what do they have to do? They have to raise their prices. That's an honest way the prices might go up for goods. A dishonest way is, let's say this big company that's making a shitload of money off their products anyway, just raises their prices because they say, hey, people understand, minimum wage went up, we got to raise our prices, even though they're making a shitload of money off. They're making a shitload of money anyway, right? That's a dishonest way. So that's going to happen regardless. In any time something like that, like with Obamacare and all, even though I don't really totally agree with that kind of shit, it always happens. Anytime that a company has an excuse to raise a price where people won't get up in arms about it, then they will. So there you go. Another problem is that it's going to sort of lessen the gap between the lower tier of income people and the middle tier of income people. I'm going to use my roommate for an example. I think my roommate makes $10 an hour, $11 an hour. His $10 to $11 an hour is going to be worth less than it was previously, because now the price of things are going to go up. And he will now be considered more of a minimum, like his status is now would be lower because other people are making more money. It's kind of shitty to look at it like that, but that's kind of the way it is. There's always going to be a lower tier, a middle tier, and an upper tier. Now, the reason this problem is so shitty, this is why it sucks. Like, I'm not saying that minimum wage is totally fair and it's livable, and I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is that there's always going to be poor people, there's always going to be people right in the middle, and there's always going to be rich people. And it's shitty because minimum wage isn't livable, but no matter what you do, there's always some sort of negative consequence. If you raise minimum wage, it's just going to make the middle tier of people, their money's worth less because things are more expensive, and now they're making minimum wage. Let's say you got a guy that's been working, I think my roommate's been working at Lowe's full-time and part-time. He's back to school now, so he's part-time, but he's been working there, and now he makes $11 an hour because he's been working there for like 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And that's decent money, especially in Virginia. Virginia is a very cheap place to live. And now his money's worth less. Hey, our rent might go up, our whatever, food prices might go up. And the biggest thing that people aren't looking at is that these big companies that employ minimum wage workers by the millions, they're just going to ship their work elsewhere. They're going to get machines that do it. Technology is getting so good that kiosks and machines are going to start replacing these minimum wage employees. Like checkouts, all that shit. That's going to start replacing minimum wage employees. And the employees that it doesn't replace, their work that can be shipped out is going to be shipped out to other countries where these fucking countries don't have human rights. That, I could have a whole video about that. How stupid it is that tariffs are not high enough to where it's cheaper and it's better to ship your work out and ship your labor out to places that don't have human rights than it is to do it in this country. In my opinion, that's the biggest problem, is that's fucking ridiculous. Like, oh, let's ship it over to China, they don't have rights. God, I fought the war,